Brand disclaimer: the views and opinions expressed on this platform by individuals, callers, or invited guests are their own. The information you hear does not reflect the overall views of all parties associated with this brand. We encourage everyone to research all things heard live or via archive for edification purposes. Discretion is advised.
Don't touch that dial. You're now listening to Debate Talk Free Radio.
Help keep the show on the air. If you want to help, you can send your donation to PayPal. The email is debatetalkforyou@gmail.com or through Cash App, $Sal Showtime. Thanks for your support.
Jennifer, welcome to the program.
Hello, everyone. Yes, this is Jennifer, and I'm excited about this topic. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. So we're going to just jump right into this right now. I got notification that the other host is going to be joining us very, very soon, but me and you're going to get this thing started. So let's get into it right about now. And again, family, if you want to join in, the number is 319-527-6239. That's 319-527-6239. Simply press number 1. And we're going to add you into the conversation. I'm getting actually some notifications that some people saying that the lines are full, that there's so many callers, I guess, on the line that some people are having problems calling in. Hopefully, some of the lines free up so we can get some people to join the conversation. But Jennifer, yeah, when you think about this topic, battle of the sexes in a black household, well, first of all, the reason why I picked this topic because I saw an article on social media. Of course, there's a whole bunch of articles on social media, and there was this billionaire wife, right? And she was basically putting it out there that her husband was not a billionaire. However, she still lets particular husband hold that king of the household persona. And looking at the comments, everybody kind of went rampant on social media when it came to that particular article. But even past that article, in our household, so sometimes we grow up seeing the power struggle in a household, between mother and father, who's the boss, who's the lead, who's the king, who's the queen, things of that nature. So what do you think about that? When you think about this topic, battle of the sexes in the black household, how true is that to you? And give us some examples of what you've witnessed and seen.
Okay, so I'm going to speak on my personal experience. I actually did live with my children's father for a few years, and when you said that, that's why I personally could relate to that topic because actually it can be a battle, of the sexes within a black household from my experience. I say that because, when it's two adults in a home and you have children and you try to live this lifestyle that you two deem to be appropriate and necessary for your life, the reason why I say it, I do agree, well, I didn't agree with it or not, but when it comes to the battle of the sexes in the household, I believe the issues that can arise could be like it is a power struggle. I think more of a, how can I say this? It's more of I say power struggle, but it's not really a power struggle too much because I'm losing my thought. It's coming back to me. Okay, so
I'm gonna try to get her back on the line. Hold on. All right, we
Hello?
got you back on the line. Yeah.
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
All right, good. All right, wherever you picked up at, guys, you can continue. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my point where I was getting at is living with someone can be a little challenging because you have traditional norms, what people would probably consider traditional norm versus non-traditional norms. Traditional norms mean, I guess, most likely in most households, maybe the guy supposed to be the leader and the woman's supposed to, be the supporter of the leader, things of that nature. But I've always been very independent from a very young age, so it was kind of challenging to give up my leadership role and pretty much submit to the guy I was to my children's father when we were living together. because sometimes I feel like, I can be right, and then he can feel like he can be right. And it's like, okay, well, now it's time to be adults and come to, I guess, a common mutual ground, common understanding. So that can be like a power struggle when it comes to just suggestions, or just come up with ways of how to raise the children, ways of, being organized, and, different aspects in that sense. So I'm trying to say it without saying too much, but
yeah. Go ahead. You can continue.
Oh, okay. So I think that's it for now. Do you have any other callers, or you want me to keep going?
No, we got Vinny D here. Vinny, say what's up to the people. Go ahead, Vinny.
Hey, peace, everybody. How y'all doing? Welcome back. Good to be back.
We back. That's right. Debate Talk for You Social Hub. We back.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. As you already know the topic, I hear you outside, man. I hear the wind blowing, brother. You in the car or something like that? Vinny?
Yeah. I'm in a calm place right now. So I could
calm
sit down.
place right now. There we go. Okay, all right. Well, I mean, hey, listen, man. The topic is battle with the sexist in the black household, and as Jennifer was giving us some examples of, how there could be power struggles. You know what I mean? Like sometimes the man feel like they're the boss, and women can't say anything. And sometimes it's vice versa. Women feel like they're taking charge. It's wars within the household. Do you know anything about that? And give us some examples of what you witnessed when it comes to those kind of wars.
Okay, yeah. So, me personally, I see everything, and I think there are wars. Let me just get that, out there. And wars are created by just a. I don't want to say envy of the roles. I would say though that there's confusion amongst the roles of what each person plays in a relationship, and I think that it's mainly like us being in Western civilization. We kind of get most of our thoughts from the Western culture that we all live in. And I think that it plays a part, and you can definitely see, the change in the roles, from the time my parents were coming along when they got married, and you can even see the change between them and then my grandparents' generation from the time that they got married, and I think that it's slowly started to change, and then pretty much through like social media. And just being around different people or being raised in different environments, it kind of plays a toll on how we view our roles now, And I think that there's a negative connotation, to the different roles that go on now. Like, say for instance, like if you say that a husband should be the head of a household, there's a negative connotation involved in that, and I think it's all based on the Western culture that we've adopted and have acclimated into, Whereas, I'm not going to say that there wasn't any male chauvinism, back in the day when our parents and our grandparents and them were coming up. But I think that the respect level was a little bit more defined than how we see a male head of the household type model of the family structure in these days and age. So I would say, and then one thing I would like to say is also, just to add to that, is just an example that I can give. Basically, it's my own example because that's all I can really, speak on, is examples that I've seen either in my life or, in other people's lives that I see it happen to is, you know, there's a division, and I think it's all created through society. As I stated, there's a division between the role that was in my house. As an example, when I was married to my wife or my kid's mom, it was like even though she saw that what I was saying was true, or that I wasn't really like looking out for my interests, because I've always felt that our house was to be governed around certain rules. If I slid away from those rules, then she would check me, and if she slid away, then I would check her. But it was more so her sliding away from the rules, and getting further away from them. And then when I would go to say something about her sliding from those rules, that people who didn't understand the way that we had it set up, or the way we agreed to have it set up, they would be from the outside looking in, and they would think that I would just be on her all the time, pretty much dominating her, and then she didn't really have a voice. And that's what it looked like, when it really wasn't even that. It was just I was the head of the household. I was actually the one making all the money at the time, and then, so I would place rules, and there were universal rules. It wasn't just like, males in the house couldn't, our males were given certain amenities, for lack of a better term, over the women or the girls in the house, but everybody got, the rules divided the same. But I definitely think that there's a battle that goes on, and I think that it's the cause of our Western thought nowadays, and we ventured so far away from. Hello?
Yeah, it sounds like somebody fell off and Sal's calling back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I basically do think that there's a war going on between the two, and I think that it's all stemmed from Western society, and I think we need to break away from that, because it's really, really damaging. And I'll yield on that point for now.
Okay, once again, battle of the sexes in the black household. That's the topic of discussion. The number is 319-527-6239. As we got a lot of people on the phone lines today. Appreciate y'all joining us live. And by the way, we have Reese Roberts here. Reese, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
And we also have Orthodox Moore in the building.
Peace, family.
Peace, Moore. Peace, bro. And peace to you, Jennifer. I heard you too.
Yeah. All right, so let's let let's let Orthodox Moore chime in on this. What do you say about this whole battle of the sexes in the household? Some queens want to be kings in the house, and
some kings want to be queens in this day and time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's talk about it, man. What's your perspective on it?
So, like, touching on what the brother was talking about, you know what I'm saying, just now, I'm gonna take the other side of the coin. Like, I agree with a lot of the battle comes from Western culture, but for even a different reason. Like, I agree with the reasons he's talking about too. Like, I'm not saying he's wrong. Like, I'm just saying taking the flip side on it. So you hear me talk a lot about the fact, like, our cultures we're separated from the cultures we came into this country with and whatnot. And so our current construct of what is male and female and what a relationship's supposed to look like, we're getting told that from TV, movies, and from pop culture. That's not, we don't have a solidified culture and whatnot. And even if we were to go back and look at the people we come from, we have, like, the people we come from have different constructs of what male and female are. You know what I'm saying? So, like, we really got to come down to this concept of rites of passage, of common culture, this, that, and the third, and understand, like, how are we going to choose to start courting each other? How are we going to choose to start marrying each other? And how are we going to choose to start building a culture together? Because we don't have a defined. I can't go to a system like, okay, what's your defined role for a man and a woman, and already know what that is, right? I'd have to ask her each on an individual level right now. And like my man was talking about, like in our grandparents' time and whatnot, there was a cultural understanding of this is what men do, this is what women do. Whether we can agree or disagree on whether it was chauvinism or not, and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? Again, I can make the argument that a lot of our culture then still stem from us trying to recreate something after slavery, right? So whether there was chauvinism or not, there at least was defined roles. on a general level, right? We don't even have that no more. We have no general nothing right now. It's every man and woman for herself right now. You know what I'm saying? So we got to come together as a people and recognize, okay, at the very least, we got to make our own definitions on some stuff. We got to come up with our own common culture on some stuff, and even recognize within our common culture, we're going to have differences within that common culture. Because some of us, like for me, I come from like Islamic and Israelite backgrounds. So my concepts of male and female are one way. Somebody might come from like a Yoruba background or whatever, you know what I'm saying, or an Ifa background. Their concepts of male and female might be different, et cetera. Somebody might be Christian, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I'm saying? So our culture and what it looks like now is not solidified because we as a people haven't solidified it coming out of slavery. But at the same point in time, it's going to be hard to do that coming out of slavery because we're doing that in a culture where we're not the driving force thereof in terms of being proactive. We're reactionary within this culture. Sure, a lot of our stuff gets taken other places and whatnot, like music, sports, etc. But even then, we're not controlling those industries. We're the fuel in those industries. Again, we're reactionary there. We're not proactive there. So I think a lot of the war that we're having, the battle will get settled once we decide to turn off the TV, turn off the phones, turn off the whatever right quick, and actually have some grown conversations about like, okay, like we really had a culture snatched from us. What culture are we going to make? I'll leave it right there.
All right, family. Once again, the number is 319-527-62. Reese Roberts. You got your perspective on this topic right here. Battle of the sexes in the black household. Yeah, I'll let you chime in.
Right. I totally agree with 99.9% of everything you just said. I really think we have to self-define. And to add on to that point, I feel like we need to make sure that as we self-define that we're also being original in our thinking, because our goal is to return to our nature. Our goal is to return to the source of where we came from. And so what we need to be doing as we are self-defining is soul-searching along the way and making sure that we are not egotistically making the same mistakes as our enemies as we try to get our grounding and our footing culturally. Because we have a tendency when we are weak-minded to mimic the ideas and the thoughts and the perceptions of others. But we have the magical alchemy, that we are capable of mentally, where if we stand up in our power and we stand up in our individuality, we stand up in our most idealistic versions of ourselves, then we're onto something because we're the most innovative people on the planet. So I feel like we need to make sure we put that to good use when it comes to doing exactly what he just said, because we need to be completely different than our enemies. We need to be more like ourselves.
All right, Jennifer actually call drop. She says she's going to call back in when she can. Again, the number is 319-527-6239. Well, Reese Roberts, I got a follow-up question for you. All right, now, as far as being the head of the household, right? Mm-hmm. What defines a man or woman? Like, what is it that can qualify man or woman to be head of the household? Do you believe a woman could be the head of the household? Question number one. And what, if so, what? I hear you. If so, what are the things that you think qualifies that woman to be the head of the household?
Okay, I think the head of household terminology is very westernized, and I think that in the it's almost like trying to translate English into an African language where some things just don't fit, and I think head of household is one of those things. I don't think there is such a thing as the quote-unquote head of a household. What I think you have is relationship dynamics. And when you are dealing with two different people who come from two totally different backgrounds, two totally different life paths, and, genetic composition, you cannot put categorical sort of boundaries on them. And when you do that based on their gender, you completely misunderstand the purpose of personal development and growth. If a person is good at something and they take naturally to it, then so be it. That's what it is. If they don't, so be it. That's what it is. But if you come together and you're with somebody that you're compatible with, you take the time to make sure that you're actually compatible, then that means whatever there's a weakness, then somebody else has the strength. If somebody has the strength, then they need to make sure that they're being responsible for the weaknesses in certain areas. And that's just simply what relationship dynamics should be, in my opinion, inside of a household. You know, you just can't say, well, because you're a man, I need you to do this, that, or the other. Or just because you're a woman, I need you to do this, that, or the other. If there was a man who was a chef and a woman who was an auto mechanic and they decided to fall in love, you know, who would you make fix the car? Who would you make cook dinner? You know, this is not something that we should be limiting. Shahid, I'm on the phone. Go. This is not something that we should be limiting to our genders in our conception of what a head of household is. Now, if we're talking about finances and all that other stuff, I feel the exact same way. If a person has more money than another person, that is so trivial, it doesn't even need to be, I don't think it needs to be considered if there is a real chemistry between those two people. Because your financial circumstance could change at any moment in time for any reason. There could be a number of catastrophic events that change your life. So if you're going to base who you love on money, it's just, to me, a foolish mistake.
All right. Once again, the number's 219-527-6329. Vinny, you next. Vinny, I'm coming to you. Yeah, what do you feel about that? You know, do you feel like that king of head of household thing needs to be established? Go ahead.
I agree with what the sister just said. Sister Reese just said. You know, it's the way we're defining these things, man. It's just like it's just totally just blown out of the water. You know. And we're dealing with some definitions that I don't even think when we put the attributes of what a head is exactly is, that it doesn't line up to the definition that, you know, we're using to the Western definition that we're using to define these things. You know? So I mean, I pretty much wholeheartedly agree with what the sister said. You know, we really, I think it all boils down to really just separating from the from pretty much just separating, you know, spiritually from this from the way that we've been doing things, like the traditions that we've grown up in, and then also you know, just getting back to you know, doing our own thing. Separate from what we've been doing so far, you know. And what was the initial question, Sal? Run it by me one more time.
Pretty much like when it comes to like being the head of the household, even from a female perspective, if you believe that, what qualifies a woman to be like a head of the household, in your opinion?
Okay, so I don't, you know, to be honest, I can't really even say that, you know. Because I think that's like a Western part of the thing. It depends on what you what a person defines as head. You know, like are we talking about if you're going to go out and be the main breadwinner? You know, if you're going you know, if you're going to be if you're going to run your house, like if you're going to be the one that's going to like keep everybody sticking to the rules or whatever. You know, because to be honest, I think that's a job for both people. You know. I do honestly. I do think, just based on my background, you know, my parents, my dad is from the Deep South, and you know, you know, and I'm pretty much biblically based. So of course I'm going to say that you know, it's the man's job to be the head. But at the same time, I mean, what does that really mean? You know, I think it goes a whole lot deeper than how we actually defining it today. I don't.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah. Talk about that. Go ahead. Talk about that.
Yeah, you got a question? Go ahead, sis.
Can you repeat that statement you just said real quick so everybody can hear it?
Yeah, so I'm saying like, you know, my dad is from the South, you know, and then I'm also biblically based. So when I say that it comes to, you know, when it comes down to like being a head, you know, and I'm not even so much defining it as in the Western terminology, but it's just so much as being a head, you know, that that's a man's role, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But at the same
You
time,
said something about.
Go ahead.
You said something about how are we defining it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I want us to kind of break down real quick.
Right.
Because that's something that I honestly, y'all, a lot of times we be talking. I need to know this personally, so we're going to stop and talk about it.
I know that's
okay.
right. Yeah. How are we defining this thing? Because I grew up with a single mom, and we have to consider men. Y'all, please hear me.
Your call cannot be completed as dialed. Please check the number and dial again. 062T.
Uh-oh.
Was that a sign?
That might be a sign.
Your call cannot be completed as dialed. Please check the number and dial again. 062T.
Yeah, Blog Talk tripping.
Everybody still there?
Yep,
I'm here. More here.
Yeah, we still here. We all here. Mm-hmm.
All right, so I just wanted to talk about a situation that is my particular situation, but it's very common across the nation, where I was raised with a single mother. I'm a young woman, and the only perspective I was able to see was that of a woman, okay? So when I get with a man who doesn't know his manhood, and I don't also know manhood either, it's like there's this desperate need to be able to define manhood, because there's an obvious missing of its presence. And so it's like, who defines it and how? Because there's no, it's like as a woman, you want to sort of fill the shoes where certain things are lacking. And so I think this is where we get our alpha sort of attitudes from, and the reason why we're so masculine is because we talk a lot about having to fill multiple roles. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hey, how you doing? Go ahead, sis. I think you put it on mute.
Okay. But there's this need to fill those shoes and play multiple roles. And so a lot of women have this sort of resentment. I follow a guy on Instagram who was talking about the fact that he had a conversation with a young lady about her strength. And she expressed to him that strength, being a woman's strength, is not necessarily a compliment, because most women are being strong because they have to be. It's a burden that we bear when we are that strong.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And so for us, it's almost like, oh, my God, will somebody please come and take this burden of strength off of me? I'm not as strong as people think that I am. I'm just carrying it because I have to. And there's nobody there to relieve the burden. So now we're at a place where all these definitions, these key terms are missing because we were overwritten at our original language, our original coding. And so we have to ask, honestly, women, we have to be very humble in paying attention and trying to help you reach yourselves, because you are the only ones with the answers. We can't go deep within ourselves to find our manhood.
Right.
Y'all have to go deep within yourselves to find your manhood. So all we can do is just be like, baby, can you please reach inside yourself and get that manhood? Because we don't know enough ways. We don't know enough of definitions. So I would really like to, hear some just very raw definitions of what we would be looking for. What is it that a man truly feels responsible for?
That's powerful, and more. Feel free, brother, just to intervene at any time, But personally, I think I agree with you about women feeling the need to step up and take whatever role they have to and be strong for the family. Personally, I feel that we are not doing a very good job of raising our boys to be men, and I'm wholeheartedly feeling what you're saying, because there are a lot of single parents, and of course we can we can get into the intricacies of why that is, but the bottom line point is that there definitely are a lot of single women, and you have to step up and you have to play that role. You have to play both roles because there's not a lot of men that are being groomed into doing these things. And I would say that it's more of a role. Of course, we all know that it's a systematic, oppression. There's that, but then there's also the point to where, us as a community are not like grooming, women for their roles, how to be women. We're not grooming men on how to be men or how to step up, being the backbone, I think that there's a lot going on, and it's weird because when you go down to the rural South, you don't really see that, you do kind of see a lot more chauvinism going on, but when you go down to the rural South, it's like those roles are more staunchly defined, especially in the two family household. Number one, you got the community that's raising the kids, where if the child is out there doing something wrong, the whole community is going to come down. If they're not going to come down, they're going to go run and tell the parent. The parent is, it's more of a community, whereas when you're in a big city, everybody's all minding their own business. Ain't nobody trying to help with the village raises a child type of mentality. So I think that's out the window. Then you got men that's and to the point that the brother Moore was making was our brother Tyvon was making was that they you got these you got social media, you got music, you got TV. All of these are raising our kids, and they're telling us how a man is supposed to be, telling us how a woman is supposed to be, and they're defining the relationship between the two instead of us. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like you got all these different parts that playing a role in raising our kids. On top of that, we got you got this systematic oppression that's going on between the higher ups and the lower downs. How the wage gap, and people are just feeling like it ain't no hope, basically. So they're going about doing these things. It's like that experiment where you get rats, when you heat up a pot and you put it on like some kind of thing, the rats are going to go crazy. They're going to forget about community. They're just going to try to escape that pot. You know what I'm saying? And by any means necessary. I remember, they used to do that as a torture method. Put a pot on somebody, heat it up, and then the rats just chew through the person. And it's just like a survival mechanism that kicks in. It's like, and then I think that's where we're at right now. We're like pretty much in we're kind of a mixture between survival mechanism and then also, dealing with the systematic oppression that's been going on, and a lot of people have given up. So men are not really being men, and women are not being men. But to answer your question, like, how do you define the role? I would say that that a man's role, personally, me myself, is to go out, be a breadwinner, and be a protector. Women, not to say that you guys aren't protectors, but if you have kids, mainly like raising the kids, teaching the kids, not saying that that's the sole responsibility of a woman, but, just basically coming together, everybody defining what it is your role is in a relationship, because everybody doesn't see the same thing. But the main important thing is to define what you want in a relationship, and don't go get nobody that's doesn't see the same thing as you do, because it's just going to create friction. You know what I'm saying? But whatever you define that you think those roles are, then you have to stay on those roles. And then I think that when you do those things, and both coming together, playing their parts, then you got the ultimate head. And I think it's a teamwork type of thing, but you can't, teeter around that line, because if you teeter around the line and you try to do somebody else's role, especially if you didn't agree upon it, then it's just going to, cause a downpour. Yeah,
I would like to give a female definition of what I would think, and just to add on to your definition, I'll just want to give it from a female perspective. Because it's highly romanticized for some reason. It is, but right. I'm going to give it anyway.
Okay.
if I were, I'm serious. I mean, because, a lot of times, I posted a video online today that said a lot of times women, we learn how to be in love and have, certain masculine energy in our lives from TV. So
right.
It's romanticized. So I feel like a man would be sort of like the container that is able to hold and control the power of the woman. And that to me makes them equally important. She is a force, and anytime you have a force, it must be held or contained by something so that it can have direction, so that it can have a trajectory, so it can, move and actually have something to house it, almost like the power that we have in our body. We have to have some kind of container for the power that we hold so that we can move about and we can do things. And I think this is where a lot of times we get our definitions thrown off because, like I said before, we are supposed to be returning back to our source and not necessarily thinking about these definitions from a more worldly perspective, but a more spiritual perspective. And I think because they tell us that, we need to live in this sort of civilized household structure, that we kind of forget that inside the household lives energy. And that's really all we need to learn how to balance, is balancing out our energy. So if any man is looking for a good woman, to me, what he's looking for is a woman with some mental power. He's looking for a woman that she has a power that he can feel, but a power that he can also handle. Because if you try, what happens when you put too much electricity in a battery that can't hold that much voltage? It's ruined. And it's the same thing with a woman's power. If you get a woman that's way out your league, brother, she's going to burn you up. And that's just reality. And so I feel like a man should always be in a position to get with a woman that he can handle, and not in a way that it's it's demeaning or defaming, but like I said, a spiritual balance. It's like the concept of being equally yoked when you consider what's going on in the Bible. So I think that's one of the main things that men should do as leaders in the community and leaders in their own household, is just make sure that when you invite certain energy into your house that you can contain it. A lot of women enter into a man's life and she'll wreak havoc. She will wreak havoc on your life because her power is something too volatile or too explosive to be contained. And then y'all fall short a lot of times. That brings you down.
So you're saying brothers picking the wrong sisters out there, they can't handle it.
Well, I'm not necessarily saying that they can't handle it. What I'm saying is that it's not a compatible energy. I'm saying is when you're not doing that equally yoked type of thing, you're with a person that's not equally yoked with you, and their power is going to overcome you because they're not yoked with it.
No doubt. Oh, by the way, we got Chic Tiva here. I call her Principal Chic. What's going on? What's up, Principal?
Glad to be here. It's a very important topic. I'm just listening to a few things, and let me know when it's my turn.
It's your turn. Oh, yeah. Go ahead. It's your turn.
Oh, okay. Well, what I have to say about, the topic is, the battle of the sexes. The battle of the sexes goes on in and out of the home, and I think My personal belief is that the roles of both men and women should be based off the strengths of that individual. For example, I mean, like, I can cook a meal, but my husband can cook better. So he cooks, you know. He also does a lot of things specific to his gender role, and you know, cutting the grass and, you know, fixing my tire and things like that. So I mean, it all is on our strengths, and that's how it should be left. Although when there's an argument, there's a you know, type of moment. Sometimes you do want to hold the person up to those gender roles, and when they're not when they're holding you up to it, then you'll hold them up to theirs, and then that's what starts the argument. When in reality, we should just really be working on our strengths. In our condition, I mean, things that going on, we really cannot live out in all instances the, you know, 2-parent home, the you know, everybody's, you know, your man is breadwinning and you're staying at home cooking it up. You know, like, everybody cannot sustain that. And matter of fact, we never have. And I just put out an article where Black women have always been a part of the workforce. This whole notion that we were at home kicking up our feet at some point is a fallacy, to say the very least. So if we all just lead from our strength and take turns leading. If somebody is strong where you are weak, that's what you call a partner. But a lot of times we don't have that. And when I actually asked the male, I said, well, do you want to change, you know, the system as is? And it was a no. We don't want the system to change as is. We just want different people to be on top, you know. It's like, no, it's not just, I mean, it's not just who's on top that keeps these things going. It's the systems in place that keeps it going, you know. And we saw that when the little girl said, oh, the black one's bad, the black one's ugly. And her mother had never even taught that to her. It was ingrained in the system. So we have to get off of that. I suggested that we redefine our relationships and our roles and how we determine what that is based off of what is most conducive for our survival. I was instead met with, no, you know, black women need to give up something so black men can be black men, but we're not in charge of that. We're not in charge of, you know, like how much money you make or the opportunities you have in education and going forward. We're not in charge of that. We have no control over that. So, but what we can control is our expectations in our men, and our men can actually, you know, feel that they have opportunities to be great in areas where men have never been great, you know, as far as, well, we saw the study where black men are more involved with their kids, but if you're in the home, you're even more involved, right? So maybe that's a commitment we can make. Maybe a commitment to nonviolence towards our women, a commitment to that. All those are areas that you can be great right now without change, right? And so I was told, well, you're being arrogant for saying that. Well, black women are told every day how to be feminine, how to be women, how we not women, how we not this, every day, you know, and it's called constructive criticism and correction and all this other stuff. When I tell you how you can be great in ways that, you know, it's untapped, not untapped, I don't want to say untapped because there are men out there who are doing it, but in ways that collectively we can build upon and would be beneficial to our community, I'm being arrogant. So I don't know. I think the best thing to do in summary is just to lead from the strength of the individuals and to definitely harness the power to redefine what manhood, what womanhood looks like individually, so collectively it will be conducive to our survival. So, I yield.
right, Orthodox Mo, you want to chime in?
Yeah, I was just about to be like, I'm about to jump in and claim some time right quick, catch up. So first and foremost, I want to give a couple of definitions as to what I think male and female are and what the roles are, et cetera, and also kind of touch on this thing from this concept of like the head of the household things. I didn't get to touch on that either, because like Vinny was talking about, we get the head of the household concept mostly from like the biblical concepts and whatnot, and I kind of want to touch on the culture from that concept as well. So first and foremost, let me start with the male and female and jump into that. If you look at the state of nature, women have a specific design, and men have specific designs and whatnot. And when you see what's different about that is women are designed to nurture that which is vulnerable. That is like the specification of their design. They gestate, have the babies, they nurture the babies physically, etc. The men aren't designed to do that. You know what I'm saying? The men are designed to literally protect that or secure that which is vulnerable. So, like when the woman is given birth or whatnot, the men can sit there, or they're designed to protect that. They're designed to protect what they're actually giving birth to afterwards and whatnot. All that type of stuff. Like a woman can't protect herself when she's giving birth. She's not designed for that. She's in her most vulnerable position ever. Period. That's just how that is. So in that state of nature, the culture I come from says that the men and the women leave their families and they cling together and become one flesh. So in the concept of becoming one flesh, there's only one head. It takes both of them to be the head. They're both one lobe of the brain. You know what I'm saying? They're one half of the brain. We all have like a masculine and feminine concept too. So if we're one flesh, that one flesh has a masculine and a feminine concept to it. And so there's a need to understand both essences and to work together to make a unity happen. One side of the brain doesn't dominate the other. They work in concert. And if one side of the brain is not working in concert with the other one, there you have disharmony. You have some kind of a mental disease of some sort. So if either person aren't being defended properly and either person aren't being nurtured properly, you're going to have some kind of dis-ease in the relationship. There's going to be some kind of battle. Again, I'll say most of the battle that we're having right now is a lot of people are just laying down with each other and not recognizing who they're laying down with until way afterwards. And that, again, that's a cultural process right there. That's us not having that's us not having like I said, a means of how we get married. We don't have a courting system. You know what I'm saying? We used to have cultural expectations. We don't have that anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's every man and woman for themselves doing whatever they want to right now. And we're seeing how that looks right now. It looks kind of crazy and whatnot. But again, going back to that cultural concept, like even me being a male, like being responsible for securing stuff in my culture, right? Even my scrolls tell me if I am not aware of what my woman needs, the Most High doesn't answer my prayers. I can't even approach him in prayer until I'm aware of how I need to secure my woman's vulnerability, how I need to give her space. You know what I'm saying? 9 times out of 10, like growing up and during the time I was married and whatnot, I recognized that a woman didn't need me to be like when she was crying or she needed whatever. She didn't need me to be strong. Like, well, let me go lift something or kill something. No, she needed to be strong enough to secure space for her. She'd let me know exactly what was wrong if I listened. If I asked her a question, she'd let me know what time it was. If if I come to her like, hey, what's wrong with this? She's gonna let me know 9 times out of 10. You know what I'm saying? And particularly if I'm trying to be like, hey, I want to secure what you're vulnerable in. I see a vulnerability here. Is some way we can deal with that? All that type of stuff. And with on the feminine side, the successes I saw came to when the women saw where the men were needing nurturing or whatnot, and knew how to do so in such a way that didn't make them feel like a child, didn't make them feel like they were babied, didn't make them feel like they were being controlled or whatnot. Sometimes, like here's the thing, right? Like for women, a lot of times they just need room to talk, right? For men, we need room not to talk sometimes. So with my ex-wife, like our best communication came when I figured out she might need 3 days to deal with something, right? In terms of we might need to talk about something for 3 days. She might need that long of a conversation. For me, she figured out, and we're great friends now. We figured out we shouldn't be married. We're great friends now, but we figured out was that what she figured out was like I might need 3 days to be silent on something. Do you know what I'm saying? She knew that she nurtured me. She nurtured me by letting me just be silent. She learned that like, like my level of nurturing is I might need to be able to talk, but his kind of nurturing is he might need me to be giving some space. And then when he's done with that space, he'll come tell me everything. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's not a battle about who's in charge because ain't no one person in charge. That's crazy. Like if you love your significant other, you're both in charge. Like so, for instance, like I was always telling my ex-wife, if I'm not here, if God forbid I get hit by a truck tomorrow, if I'm not here, do this, do that, the third, and same thing on her end. Same thing on her end because we care about each other. If there's kids left over, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like the sister was talking about, she was raised in a single parent household. Am I really the defender of my household if I left it like that as a man? And even if I'm not there by some kind of crazy accident, did I prepare my wife? Did I defend my family? Did I defend the vulnerability of my family by preparing my wife to understand the bills, to understand whatever, to understand how to take care of whatever? You know what I'm saying? Because for instance, like Vinny was talking about, like my family's from the South, my father's family's from the South too and whatnot, and so like the women didn't deal with the money, the men dealt with the money. You know what I'm saying? And so like there was certain like the women in my family are horrible with money. You know what I'm saying? And that's not a positive thing. There's a lot of them where their husbands died and they just it was over and done with. They were behind on payments on houses, this, that, and the third, and whatnot. Like you're not strongly defending your family if you're not putting them in position to be able to function without you there. You know what I'm saying? And you're not nurturing your family if you're not how to say this. If you're not nurturing that kind of situation at the same point in time, I'll leave it right there and let everyone and their mom jump in because I know they want to.
Those are some great points, man. Great points.
All right. All right, family. Once again, the number is 319-527-6239. I'm seeing there's people on social media responding. Y'all can call in. Just press number 1 and we'll add you in the conversation. I saw a few people press number 1, but they said they have some technical difficulties with the phone lines tonight. There's a lot of people calling in. I don't know what's going on, but keep trying to call in. But listen, there's people on social media right now that's saying, listen, this is all is good, and they're agreeing with a lot of the points here. But in their reality, when it comes to money, it's like money is the key when it comes to being, head of household or, can't a lot of they said a lot of women feel that way. Like, how do you feel? Does money defines who's like, running a household? Let's go to Reese.
No, I don't think so. I think that's an ego thing inside of women. If they think that.
You sound kind of low.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was saying I think that term is in and of itself faulty as to how we should be understanding our household structure anyway. So I think women have to look ourselves in the mirror and really talk about why are we so adamant about having this financial situation, defined in such a way. Like I don't know why we're putting money and leadership synonymous with each other, or why we're putting those two things as equal importance. I think you understand what I'm trying to say, but it's not, to me, a priority when you're talking about how the family actually works. Money is just a mechanism to keep the household going, as far as it's physically concerned. But when you talk about your household and the people, you're really talking about the people in your household. You're not talking about the bills or the cars or the furniture and all that other stuff that goes in and out of the doors every day. You're talking about the soul that you're housing in your home, your domicile. You're talking about, what am I contributing to this network of people to make sure that all the people in this network are growing in every area of their life. Now, yes, money can make sure that they are growing in physical ways, but your presence, your experience, your wisdom, your guardianship, your protection, all those things are other areas of life that also need to grow within the people around you. When it comes to spouse, you need to also be thinking about the intangibles. We're thinking about things where you can, let's just say, like on the movie Why Did I Get Married, where Jill Scott's character was overweight and the brother started exercising with her. It was because he made an executive decision within himself to give her some support in an area of her life where she was weak. He was strong in that area. He had enough knowledge to get it done. So he took the leadership, took the initiative, and he helped the sister get healthy. That's something you can do for free. You don't have to pay for that, but you can contribute to somebody's life by sacrificing of yourself to say, I'm going to be a leader in your life, and I'm going to show you the way how to do this. I'm going to walk with you. I'm going to tie your shoes if I need to get you up and out this house so I can motivate you and actually contribute something positive to your life. But see, we got to understand, again, we're not talking about physical things. We're talking about spiritual concepts. So we have to start, approaching our relationships and our households for what they are. Is that they're spiritual structures. We got to start operating in that spiritual world.
Say that again for the people in the back.
All right, people in the back. But we got a caller saying about right now. we got a caller saying about right about now. But anybody else want to chime in real quick before I bring the call in? Anybody else? You can do that now.
Yeah, I want to touch on the money thing real quick. Like, so just to play, just to add on to that and just agree with everything the sister said right quick. Money can't be the main qualifier, right? And I'm going to use men real quick on this and how they fail miserably when it comes to money on this one, right? Like, so in sports we see where you can have multiple people be millionaires, right? Multiple of our men be millionaires. I'm going to use one, right? Antoine Walker, right? He was a basketball player. He famously blew $110 million, $108 million, right, in his career. You know what I'm saying? All-star player, won a championship, all kind of stuff. And when he was done with his career, he was broke as a joke. Made a bunch of money, right? He made the most money out of all his relationships. You know what I'm saying? The woman was never making more than him, right? But at the same point in time, they're all going bankrupt because of his decisions and whatnot. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so just because he's able to make the money does not mean that he's able to secure anything with that. You know what I'm saying? Like so. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm disagreeing. I'm sorry.
No, you money, my fault. But like. So in them situations, like if one person's making a bunch of money or they're making more money, it's all how are we making money to move together as a unit? How is this working together for us, right? Like if we don't have a plan together, we failed. Do you know what I'm saying? And again, this is where the concept comes in. Like, so if, let's say I'm Antoine Walker, I got the $110 million, right? I'm making all kind of financial decisions or whatnot. Okay, my job is to make sure my wife has, like, I understand what my wife needs with all that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like I said earlier, in my culture, I can't even get my prayers heard by the Most High unless I'm in tune with what my woman needs. So it's a one flesh, one head kind of a thing. It's not like, well, this is what I want to do with the money. It's, well, what do we want to do with this? What's best for our family for this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I make $110 million, right, and I haven't set up my family for generations, you can't call me the head of nothing. And I'll leave it right there.
All right, family, this is the Social Hub. Battle of the Sexes in the Black Household is the title of this discussion. The number is 319-527-6239. For those who listen on social media, if you're listening on the phone lines, just press number 1. We'll add you in the conversation. We do have a caller standing by. Let's go to that caller. Go ahead, your line is open.
Hey, peace and blessings. This is Micah, the Deacon Micah Paul from Knoxville, Tennessee. I just been listening to the conversation. Just wanted to read a couple of scriptures, if at all possible. All glory to the Creator of heaven and earth. For He is the just God, and He's willing to forgive us for our transgressions. But the sister was talking about being yoked, and according to the scripture, it says, "Be not unequally yoked with non-believers." So you have to, if your household is unequally yoked, and somebody's unbelieving. But there's also another scripture that talks about if the unbelieving is willing to stay, then let her stay, because your faith is, monumental enough to save the other's unbelief. So, and when you're dealing with, being yoked with a person that I think the sister talked about, you got to find a woman that is able to, you can tame her, or her she's too untameable, or she's too higher in some type of level that if a man was not that way and wasn't able to tame this woman, that she's gonna make the household go awry and stuff like that. I would consider that being a demonic spirit that's in that woman. As well, I have a scripture to go with that. It says in Proverbs 14, it says, "Every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh it down with her hands." So that's that woman that you're talking about that has, that's not equally yoked, that has more than this man, is trying to be more than what the man is, and comes down and tears their house down. As well, I want to read Jeremiah 31 and 22. It says, "How long wilt thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter? For the Lord hath created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass the man." So we're seeing this as well. The woman, and not I don't just categories just complete the black family and the black culture and the black community. I understand all that, but this goes just way past that. It just goes into women in general and men. That we see this, that the women are taking these roles that men used to have, and now the men are taking the back road. I believe the sister was talking about, well, my husband cooks better than me, but I can cook, and he cuts the grass and changes my tire. It sounds like she's got the help me, and she's not being the help me. Sounds like she's got the slave, and she's the master of the house. So the roles have been changed and reversed in that aspect. I also heard the sister said that you need to be more of a provider and a protector. But I'll have to interject on that as well, because if you're the provider, for one, the provider's never at home. The provider is never around the children to guard the children, to protect the children. The woman's always there. Number two, if you go into the court system, and the court system sees that you're the provider and that you're never at home, then the children will get awarded to the woman, because the woman is the one that was given the primary care to these children, was always there. And sometimes you were there, sometimes you had a day off, sometimes you didn't go to work, and things like that. So the system we're in is already built to put the women above the men in these roles. And the black community, the so-called black man today is fell way behind, because it's got so many layers to this, that you have to peel it like an onion to even get to the center, even to get to a point where you could be on the equal playing field. I heard it today or the other day, where they were talking about the draft that's taking place. And I hear equality that's going on, but the men have to sign up for this draft before they turn 21. You see, it's not the women that have to sign up for these things. It's always the man in these roles where it has to take the first step to be the one on the front line to take the bullet. It's never the woman. The woman's always, in the back, but when it comes to certain benefits and, I want my name first on the title. I want my name first on the lease. I want my name first on this. When you go to school, the mother is this. They're asking for the mother's name on the birth certificate, the mother this. It's all set up for the women to take the primary role in these situations.
Hold on, Michael. Stand by. You saying a whole lot right now. We got to get some responses from the panel. Stand by. Hold on. I'm going to bring you right back in. Well, let's go to the panel, though. Anything y'all want to address? Let's go to the ladies first. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Okay. First of all, I'm not trying to be combative, but when I say that my husband can cook and I can cook, we share in that role. But if he cooks better, then he cooks more. He also does the things that the male gender does as well. That's not me being master of my home, because I also contribute in certain things such as investments. That's my cup of tea. Budgeting, my cup of tea. And I also am primary caregiver to our child. So to say that, oh, she must be master of the home because he cooks, it's a fallacy, and it's westernized thought. When we look at most of our cultures in the Eastern world, most of the men are the highest paid cooks, which are chefs, right? In the Caribbean, most men cook. In Louisiana, most men cook. I mean, what happens, and to say that is a feminine quality, is based off of nothing in any book of spirituality where gender roles as we know it in this westernized role is defined. It was never said that the woman was created to cook. The woman was created to iron and do laundry and all these things that people try to assign those things to women who also work now. Okay? So if you really subscribe to that, then you should be providing enough to substantiate a lifestyle that a woman will get behind and put her children into, so she can stay in women's role and you can stay in men's role. A lot of times men want their women to work to contribute to a lifestyle. But then you can't say, you'll work, and then when you come home, you take care of the children too, and cook me dinner, and do this, because now you're adding on to the pot. Now you're making it an unequal balance, which starts the war of the sexes. So, men are supposed to do something as nutritionally valued as cooking for themselves, if not for their families. Men aren't supposed to know how to clean, okay? And being that the men and women predominantly are at work, then they have to share in those household responsibilities as well as the outside responsibilities. There's some women who can fix cars. Oh, we're supposed to stop her because she has a vagina? I mean, we have to really seriously stop being so basic. And we have to understand we have to understand that strengths lie in people regardless of their gender, and we have to start appreciating it, and that our conditions start using it. So I yield on that.
I'm sorry, I thought I was on mute. I thought I was on mute. My bad.
That's cool. Go ahead. You want to mention anything? You want to take the floor? You can take the floor.
I don't really have a whole lot to say. I think that the brother that was reading the scriptures might have misunderstood a little bit of what I was saying in particular, but I think everybody understood where I was coming from, hopefully. But some of the stuff that he was saying about the power of the woman being tamed and all that, it was just a little too far left from what I was actually saying.
All right, that's cool. Vinny, you want to say anything? And Mike, we're going to bring you back on. Stand by, brother. Go ahead, Vinny.
Yeah. Okay. So, personally, I'm a Bible believer. I believe in the whole head system and everything like that. But I think that the definitions, as we kind of stated earlier, kind of gets conflated, or it gets over dramatized, I guess you would say. And it's really, I don't think that we define it properly out here. Now, I believe a lot of what the brother was saying. The brother Deacon Michael Paul, I believe a lot of what he was saying, But I would ask him one question, because I know that in a perfect world, then everything will flow easily. But at the point and the stage that we are now, I know what we're missing. We're missing a lot of structure, and I believe that structure, comes out of the Bible that we need. But we're missing a lot of structure. So the question that I would ask him is, like, what can we do? Because a lot of these women are growing up and they're being like, they're being forced into these positions to where they have to become heads because the men are not really being raised with the right structure, And of course, the structure is where both you and I both agree where it has to come from. But I'm saying, like, these men are not being raised like that, and there's so much stuff going on, with the TV and the radio and all of these imposed, definitions and different crazy things that are coming out here. So my question would be like, how do we go about? And I've seen your work. I've seen what you and the bishop do. So I'm not really saying like you in particular. I'm saying like, how do we go about like getting it back on track? How do we go about making it so where these women don't have to feel forced into, taking both roles and getting back on track again?
All right, hold on, Micah. Write that down. I'm going to get you. I want Orthodox More to say his piece, and then I'm going to go to you. All right, so Orthodox More, guys.
Yes, sir. So I definitely want to touch on that before he answers that question because I feel very strongly about what the brother said on a certain level because first I'm going to read a couple scriptures right quick, and then I'm going to read my piece right quick. So he was talking about wisdom. And so wisdom was one of my favorite topics when in the scrolls and whatnot. And one of the things it says about wisdom is she is more precious than rubies, right? And so when you find a wise woman, she's more precious than a ruby. And so if you go back and listen to what the Sister Reese was talking about, she was talking about a woman that has to be that is strong because she has to be, right? And running into a man that might not be able to deal with that. Now, this is something I feel very strongly about because, as a matter of fact, last time me and Reese were talking on the show, I told her she inspired me to pick up an old idea I had about making a business based upon showing our young men rites of passages and whatnot, different rites of passage and whatnot, because I feel like we don't have the instruction as men coming up from older men. Like, I was lucky enough to be part of a generation. I'm 37, right? But I'm lucky enough to where I came from a single-parent household, but when I saw my father, he was like, this is what a man does. This is what a man does. I was lucky enough to where I was in a neighborhood to where, like, the old heads saw I didn't have my father around, and they would spit game to me and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not the world we live in right now. And even if the older heads try to spit game to the young heads, they're like, nah, I can't even trust you because y'all left me in a world of craziness. So I got to figure this out on my own.
Great point.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So in that situation, like, so I'm seeing a lot of my male homies, a lot of my that I gotta pull up, right? Talking about, hey man, you're not being enough of a man. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, so a lot of times, when a man's running into a woman who he feels is like my man said, like, it's demonic because she's got to be tamed and whatnot. No. A lot of times, what the man is running into is the fact that he's finding out, you know what? I'm not as much of a man as I thought I was. I might not have learned what I thought I learned. I might not be who I thought I was. Like I might have this projection in my mind that I'm a man, but you know what? Am I really? Because 9 times that I'm seeing a lot of our men going to these women like they're their mothers, not like they're their women, not like they're like a significant other. You know what I'm saying? Like, these strong women are finding like, damn, I got a man and a son right now. What's going on? You know what I'm saying? So it's not about a taming thing, bro. Like, if she got more strength than you, right? That's a chin check right there, bro. That means you gotta get your weight up. That doesn't mean she got that's the taming process. Like the sister was talking about, like being a vessel to hold the woman. So are you strong? Are you a strong enough vessel to hold the woman, or does her energy make you break? I'll leave it right there.
That is perfectly what I was talking about. Thank you very much.
All right. Let's go to the call. Let's go to Micah real quick, and I'm going to let you respond, but after that, we got to move on. Go ahead, Micah. You can respond.
Yeah, all praise, all glory to the Father. Okay, to go back, let's see. Okay, the role of the woman in Titus 2:5, it says to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, So, I mean, part of keeping home would be the cooking, the cleaning, the laundry, the duties of the house. You see, taking care of the children, and and it also says keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of God be not blasphemed. So this is what the Bible is telling and instructing women how to be in the household. So this is not my words. This is coming out of the Bible. You can check it as well as I'm reading it. I'm gonna also go to Ephesians. The brother Orthodox Moore, he tried to speak and say that there was a that this woman just is unattained. It's a chin check, and this is not that's an error. What he's speaking of. Yes, if you can find a wise woman, their price is far above rubies, the price of a ruby. Yes, yeah, I understand that scripture. But in Ephesians chapter 5, and this is going to supersede what Orthodox Moore just said, he said that this is, it's a chin check for this man. So I would ask him, after I read this scripture, is this what needs to happen? And let me read the scripture in Ephesians 5 and 22. It says, "Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord." So you're talking about this woman chin checking the Lord, okay? Okay, so she's going to strike back at God and at Jesus here. You see, the master, the creator now, because this is what the word of God says: submit unto your own husband as unto the Lord. So you say you love God, you say you follow after the Messiah, the Christ. A woman has to submit to the Lord and to God as she's supposed to do for her husband. In verse 23, it says, "For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church." So that's a conflict of what you're saying, because ain't nobody gonna strike God in the face. Ain't nobody gonna strike Jesus down. You see, so this woman that comes into this house, that's not she does need to be brought to a submitted stature. She needs to be brought to a lower state, a mentality of where she doesn't have to be this big, person in the house and has to, chin check somebody. That she needs to understand that the word of God says that she needs to be submitted to her husband. That means she needs to obey her husband, be obedient, to keep the household, and this is pleasing in God's eyes, and so that the word of God be not blasphemed. See, God has already set this stuff up for us to obey. Okay. Now, I understand the other sisters talking about cooking and stuff like that, but these things are already set up. We can't surpass what the word of God has already said. There's a lot of worldly influences that's coming into people's households and influencing young children, especially the young children today. I have a daughter. I'm a single parent. Okay. I'm a single father of 2 children. Okay. There's nobody but me here. I could prepare the meals. I clean up the messes. I change the dirty diapers. I clean up the urine stain in the bed. I pick up, I comb hair. I wash backsides. I do all these things. The same thing as apparently a woman should be doing. Okay, but this is where I'm at in my life. So I'm speaking from experience. I'm not speaking to attack or berate or say I know anything, or I'm just speaking just to speak or try to combat anybody. I'm speaking from experience. So this is a topic that is very close and dear to me, and I have a lot to speak on because I've been going through a lot, and God has been testing my spirit. He's been testing my my ability to stay focused and to see what I'm going through and to revert it back out and to tell other people what he has in store and what he has put in place for everybody to obey. And so we are now the other gentleman, I think it was Vinny D, was talking about how we to address this, because these women are being pushed to do these things. And in that sense, we need to have a community. The brothers was talking about community. We need that community, but we don't have no community. There's very small communities here and there that will come together and actually raise your child if you're not able to, that will actually guide your house the way it's supposed to be according to that scripture. We don't have these things. If we had that, there would not be no woman running to the next door neighbor's house unannounced or, uninvited by another person saying, where are you going? What are you doing? Brother, such and such isn't home. Sister such and such isn't there. It would be something like that to everybody would be held accountable to be able to do that, because I have to deal with it on a daily. I send my daughter to this Head Start schooling, and they're always trying to push stuff in her brain. Oh, you need to be empowered. You need to be independent. You need to be like this. And I have to tear all that stuff down, from 4 hours of school every day, and to come back home and be like, no, Andre, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. What you have to do is what God has in store. He's already told you what you can do. You see, you have to do the will of God, not what people are implying and trying to impress on you to do. They don't have to be this. My daughter she doesn't have to be a superstar athlete. She don't have to be that. She don't have to be this CEO of Reebok or Nike or whatever. She don't have to be. She can be a keeper at home. She can have children. You see, she can raise her home. You see, her household. You see, she can do these things as the Proverbs says. Speak well for her. She does these things according to the word. That's all I'm trying to say. If we have any issues with the word, then that your problem's not with me, it's with God, because He's already given us this. But I said my piece.
Yeah, I gotta bring you on, Michael. I gotta bring you on. Yeah, got a whole lot to say, fam. I gotta bring you on the next one, man. I got you, bro. I got you. And send me an email, man. Send me your number.
Your daughter can be a keeper of the home, or she can be a leader like Deborah, or she can be a prophet like Hogan, or she can be any of these women that the Most High gave us representative of. Femininity is not about cleaning and keeping of the home. Sometimes, especially in our condition, we have not been able to do that. And so the Most High made us versatile, like the Proverbs 31:10 women. Why can't your daughter or the dream for your daughter be that she is a leader that can make a difference, like the 12 judges in Dallas, in the state of Texas, who became judges and now get to decide our fate. Why are we not pushing more of that? And I do believe that homemaking is great. It's a big task, because I stayed home with my daughter until she was about 5-6 months, right? And it was like, whoa, the amount that you pay for daycare is earned, because it is a lot of work. But to sit here and say that, well, I do the cooking and cleaning and all this other stuff because the woman isn't around, but yet if you have a woman around, you're reversing the roles, that's a problem. Maybe my husband enjoys doing that for us. Okay? What is wrong with that? Whatever I enjoy to do for my family is what I'm going to enjoy to do. So we're going to look at one scripture and relegate women to that one scripture. And I don't know if it makes you feel comfortable, brother, or it's something that you don't have at this point since we're projecting. Then we have to say, where's that coming from? And then we have, and I'm sorry, I have to put this out there, we have black men who feel like the court system is unfair to black men. It's unfair. Well, men, period. Excuse me, not just black men, but it's the whole men's movement. The court system is unfair. But then we have men today say that nurturing is a woman's job. And then when court says that a child, especially a baby, a newborn baby, needs nurturing, and I do agree that at certain points that they were agreeing that only the mother could give that. Well, we know that there are plenty of men who are nurturing. My friend was raised by her father who was nurturing. Her mother was an alcoholic out the home doing what she wanted to do. And so while there was kind of a balance in that this person is able to do this, it wasn't a balance because he had hoped that she would be on board with him to do that. But there was still another parent there to be able to give what that child needs.
Yeah.
So,
we'll let Micah. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, we'll let Micah respond to that. And I see a lot of people on the phone lines. Again, if y'all want to chime in, just press number 1 if you're already on the phone lines. But if not, if you're on social media, the number is 319-527-6239. I guess in a nutshell, Micah, are you limiting like your daughter when it comes to like, career and, being, like you said, CEOs and stuff like that? Are you not encouraging her to be, in those positions? What do you say to that? Okay.
She can be, pretty much what she has in her heart to be. I'm not going to deny her from doing anything like that. The issue is that they're not pushing the first thing according to the scriptures, and I did with the word, so that's who I am. That's what I'm held accountable for. So what I'm held accountable for, that's what I teach my daughter. But as far as all the other influences and people influence her to do other things, that's what I'm having to combat. I'm having to fight. I'm having to tear down. I'm having to rebuke people in their face and tell them, no, my daughter's not going to do that. Stop telling her that, and that's what I'm dealing with. And the sisters just, I didn't accept you. I didn't figure you're going to accept anything I have to say. Most women don't. They fight against what I have to say because they think I'm, a chauvinist or, some type of, person that hates women. I'm not. I don't hate women. I love women, and I love to have a wife in my house, to be honest, because yes, I do need a helpmeet. Yes, I do need a partner to help me. I'm not saying I don't, but there is none that would be subjected to this. The Muslim woman would, the Muslim woman would sit there and she would, put to shame the Christian woman because she wouldn't go against what the word of God says, because she would be submitted to her husband, because she would be covered, you see, because she would do the things that please her husband. It wouldn't try to deny her husband nothing. It wouldn't try to cause conflict in her household, you see, because she wants to please and submit and be submissive. And that's the role that God has already set up for the woman to play, other than the elect few that you have mentioned, like Deborah, Esther. We have these accounts of these very, these women that had to take the role. They did. The Deborah, she had to take the role, and those are very minimal people monumental people. But at that time, it was to take a place where no man was willing to do that. But we have men that are willing to do these things today, but they're not given an opportunity to prove themselves because we have a system that's set up to glorify and to put upon all the measures upon the women to do these things that they give they embolden them and say you can do anything a man can do. And what I had a reference before, even going into the military, no, you don't sign up for the draft. You're not going to be taken from your household to go to war, but the men are. And I'll be silent. I want to hear some more callers, Sal. Be blessed.
Ooh, no, I got you.
Let me just say it. I got to say it. I have to say it. There are many men who want to do things, but they're not necessarily qualified to be in that position. And that was the same thing in Israel at that time when Deborah was the leader of all of Israel. There were men who desired. There were men who were great leaders, but they were not chosen at that time because they were not qualified. And who does the qualifying? The Most High. And he doesn't do it by genitalia. He does it by the person's heart and their spirit. And we have to get over the physical and move to a place where people's hearts are recognized. Because I have some people, male, female, black, white, who wonder, how do you get here? Yeah, I got here with divine intervention and will and everything that I needed to lead me and guide me. I've gotten in a judge's position. Like, why? Why you? Because that's what the Most High said. And so we have to believe in that. We don't have to, it always has to be correction for the woman leader, for the woman breadwinner, when 80% of the black community women are breadwinners. But there always has to be some oh, this is so against Scripture and all sorts of stuff. No, what's against Scripture is the oppression of people, and that's what we're experiencing, and that's the condition that we're in, and it doesn't have anything to do with male or female. It has to do with the exterior things, and instead of bonding together and acknowledging that, we want to point the finger at each other. And that is a travesty, and it is the old divide and conquer technique still working upon us as we have not grown further. And it's like, black woman, get behind me, don't stand up for me, don't do this, don't do that, get behind with what I'm doing. But then the question is, what are you doing? What movement are you leading? I'm going to get behind that as soon as I hear about it. You know? So, yeah, there's some work to do. But we can't relegate things to, cooking and stuff. And I think that's what you really wish, you know, that you're going to raise your daughter to be the woman that you wish, you had met and manifested in her in your lives. And I understand that, you know. At the same time, you're diminishing it to your needs instead of what the Bible says, and that I have a problem with. So I'm going to leave it at that. I yield, and we all need to, you know, check ourselves. Esau cooked, okay? We have plenty of the priests cooked and baked. So we have to understand that these westernized roles are just meant to divide and conquer, because there's strength in our community when we come together, which is why the Black Panther movement was probably more attacked than any other movement, because it was a side-by-side. Well, okay, so with that, I yield. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, he made a strong point about community. Like, we don't have a community. We don't have a community to enforce these things or even make sure these type of things happen, you know, especially, in terms of like defining the roles of the husband or the wife or the male and the female, you know. And I think that goes, and he also stated that, Deborah had to do it because there was no men to step up, you know. And I think in this society that there are a lot of Deborahs type women that are going on, because I don't know, in the South, I would say that there probably are a lot more men who are like more family structured and are a little bit more grounded in their ways. But out here where I'm at, not too many brothers out here like that. You know, and it's forcing these women to be, to take on these roles. And it's also forcing men to take on these roles, like in his circumstance, where the man has to take on roles that a woman would normally do, or what we think that a woman would take on. You know, it's like like he said, it's just a wicked system. It's a wicked society, and it's just that type of world. And I think we need to get back to our roots and start raising up, our families and raising up communities in which to raise our families, and just get back to the ways that, we know is best to be ran, because we have a blueprint, but, now whether people want to follow it, that's neither here nor there. But, we basically have to get back to it. And I think he made a really good point about community, and I think that's where we need to get to. I think that's where the main dividing line comes from, is not having a community and having all of these outside ideas being pushed into our heads. And I'll yield with that.
Yeah, so real quick, before we go to other callers, I want to address a point that the brother sidestepped twice from the Sister Reese and whatnot, and then also go in a small circle and ask a question when I come back to that point. So the sister was talking about the concept of a woman that's forced to be strong and who is stronger than the men she encounters, right? So That's the first. That's a major point that the brother sidestepped. He's talking about a woman being stronger than a man is a demonic concept. That is not a demonic concept in any way, shape, or form. That is a sad social commentary. That's exactly what that is, and that's the purpose as to why the sister brought it up. But I'm going to go in a circle right quick. So the brother brought up Islam, like a Muslim woman is putting a Christian woman to shame, etc., and all that type of stuff. In Islam, and I'm the only Muslim on the panel, right? I'm a Muslim, but I'm a Messianic Muslim. I deal with the Bible, I deal with the Torah, all that type of stuff, right? So, as a Muslim, what the Quran stipulates is that the woman doesn't have to do anything that's not in that marriage contract. There's a marriage contract that they both negotiate. Same thing in the Torah. There's a marriage contract. There's a unified understanding as to how you're going to be moving together going forward. And if you want to get technical, right, in Islam, the man got to provide a house, all kind of monthly monetary payments, all kind of extra stuff that the Christian man is not obligated to do. If you want to get technical, brother. Or same thing with the Torah, whatnot. The man gotta provide certain stuff. It ain't no ifs, ands, or buts, bro. He got to come up with the dowry, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There, you can't not do that. So if a woman's coming up on a man who's not trying to give up the dowry, is he just supposed to submit to that? Is she just supposed to submit to that? No. She's supposed to call him out on him being a weak dude. That's just what that is. And let me I want to touch back on this Deborah thing right quick, right? So again, this is my culture too, right? So in the Torah, there is this role of the prophetess. It's not that she was a prophetess because there was no one else around to do it. No. From the very institution of prophethood in Israel, you had Miriam there, the sister of Aaron and Moses, called the prophetess. And she's given specific roles, right? She's supposed to lead the dances and with the tambourines and certain songs, etc., whatnot. Moses wasn't supposed to do that. That was her job. So one question I got from my brothers: can he show me where the male prophets in the nation of Israel are supposed to be dancing with tambourines? Second of all, I need to understand where Miriam, where Deborah, where Huldah, the prophetess who dealt with holding the ephods and whatnot, was the prophetess Anna in the New Testament. Go check her out in Luke, my brother. Were they all sinning because they were prophetesses as their main job, and they weren't dealing with the household as their main job? Was Deborah, who again, it doesn't say she was judging the nation of Israel because there was no one else around to do it. It says she was a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, and she judged the nation of Israel. So was she sinning because she didn't make the household her primary job? Was she sinning because she judged the nation through war as well? They didn't jump until they didn't say hi until she said jump. They didn't go into war until she said no. God said we go into war now. Is that a bad thing for the nation, or is that what God set up? Was Lapidoth a sucker because he let his wife be the prophetess, or was he strong enough of a vessel to hold that woman? That's my question to the brother. Hello?
I think Sal probably got cut off again. To be honest, in all honesty, like just in his defense, I think he kind of understands that them things have to take place, because he did bring up Deborah and he did say that like she was kind of forced into doing that.
No, she's not forced, but that's what I'm saying right now. So y'all got to show me where the prophetess role is not there from the beginning of prophethood. So from Miriam,
that's not what I'm saying. I'm just basically saying that she was there to stand up because there was nobody else to stand up.
No, see,
you
so
know
that's
what I mean?
the fallacy. You got okay. So read that to me in the scrolls, brother.
Well,
So,
Rock was there.
I'll read the verse for you.
Rock was
Say
there
that
and
again.
was her general, and didn't ask her to stand down because of her genitalia. So, I mean, that's the issue.
No, what I'm saying
Either
is
she judged the nation of Israel or she didn't. You see what I'm saying? Like the judging role, the judging of a prophet, right, in the nation of Israel, like the social structure of that is a big deal. You understand that, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not because no one else was there to do it, bro. She couldn't do the job. She couldn't do the job, but she wasn't qualified. She couldn't do the job, but she wasn't a prophet.
No,
right?
yeah. But she was mentally stable when the men were not mentally stable to do that.
I need you to show me that in the Bible where she was doing it because the men were not.
Okay. Well, we can talk offline about that. You know?
I'm with that. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying we can't put that on the scroll if we can't show the scroll. That's all I'm saying.
But I think we're just like missing each other's talking points. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're kind of like everybody's focusing on the thing that they focusing on. But the brother he kind of did allude to like Sister Reese's point. She was saying that there's no men to stand up. He kind of alluded to that just by bringing up Deborah, or just even responding to Deborah. Hello?
But the question is, was Deborah demonic because she was judging the nation? Was Lapidot the sucker because he was letting his wife judge the nation, or to Reese's point, was he strong enough of a vessel to hold her?
Well, he didn't say that though. He didn't say that. He admitted to that. He didn't say that though.
I didn't hear him nowhere say that Deborah was not demonic. I didn't hear him nowhere say that or admit that Reese's point was that a man should be strong enough to hold the strength of his woman, right? And or in the context of in today's day and age, in the context of the woman, specifically the woman who's forced in today's context to be strong on her own.
Right. What I'm saying
I didn't hear him capitulate to that point at all in any way.
No.
Bro. I heard a lot of backpedaling.
He didn't.
That's all I'm saying. Hence me challenging with a tough question.
He agreed with what she was saying. You know, it's like he's speaking from a standpoint of how things should be, but we're talking about how things are right now and how to deal with these situations in the now. You know what I'm saying?
I got you. So, we're gonna have to agree to disagree on the point. But what I'm saying is, I didn't hear him say, "You know what, Reese, you're right on this point here." No. When a weak man runs upon a strong woman, he should be stronger. He shouldn't be. He shouldn't. Well, he didn't capitulate and say, you know what? She shouldn't submit to his weakness. He should be stronger.
Well, he disagreed with that, but then he conceded to the Deborah point. That's what I'm saying. You know, which kind of
I'm with it. He can concede to Deborah. I'm saying I'm talking because I didn't hear him concede to Reese.
Right, but the point that he made was, you know, nobody was strong enough, so Deborah had to be raised up, which kind of alludes to Sister Reese being right. You know, because Sister Reese
again, we'll agree to disagree on that point.
Okay, but you know, all right.
Yeah, actually, Mike is on the line still. Mike is on the line still. We can let him chime in on that.
Go ahead.
We lost Reese Roberts. She said though she had to go, but of course she appreciate the program, of course. But and by the way, we have like 3 minutes on the air, y'all. We're going to the overtime part of the show, so you're gonna have to call in 319-527-6239 if you want to hear the rest of the show. If you're online, once that 3-minute time is up, you're only gonna hear the show if you call in. Again, 319-527-6239. Micah, you're on the line.
Yeah, the Sister Deborah, she was raised up to do God's will. She was chosen to do that. Because there was no others to stand in that place to take that position as the leader.
Okay, if we're going to keep saying that, I need the verse to be read. Because if not, we're lying on the Bible. I can't do that. That's my livelihood right there.
Brother, she was raised to do these things.
You read some scriptures earlier, brother, so I'm asking you to read the scroll now.
Compare Deborah to some wicked woman that's trying to, supersede her authority in the house over a man. That's what you're comparing Deborah to.
No, that's what you compared her to, brother.
That's what you're comparing her to, brother.
I'm sticking to Reese's point and the imagery that Reese put out. So I'm asking you to either recognize that you got her understanding wrong or capitulate to it. One of the two, bro.
I understand, brother, where you're at in that subject line. You're trying to be right. And I'm just have to agree to disagree with your point. And we need to move forward and let some other people get in here.
Brother, can I ask for clarity?
Talk about another date. Sal said I can email him further on Deborah. We can go out through the scriptures. We can put out reference books. We can do those things.
Bro, I would love to do a dialogue on that because I think that'd be good for the people, man.
Of the order of the house right now and in the black community, how the men have fell behind the women, and we need to pick ourselves back up by our bootstraps. And take a leadership role in our communities and what we're dealing with in our lives right now.
Yeah, we agree on that 100%, bro.
And,
Can I ask for clarity? Are you saying that no one else was able at the time, not because they were male or female, just because she was in right standing with the Most High?
Can I read it?
Go ahead.
I'll read it. Okay, so this is Judges 4, right? Judges 4. This is turning into a Bible discussion. I know this ain't where he wanted it to go, but this Judges 4, right? It says 4:1. I'm going to start at 1. And the children of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Lord when Ehud was dead. And the Lord sold them into the hand of Jabin, the king of Canaan, that reigned in Hazar. And the captain of whose host was Sisera, which dwelt in Harosheth, the Gentiles. And the children of Israel cried unto the Lord, for he had 900 chariots of iron, and 20 years he mightily oppressed the children of Israel. Now, if somebody was there to raise them up, then why didn't they stand up for 20 years?
So
and
we're going into commentary, though, right? So I'm asking, just show me where it says she was the prophetess because no other man was there to be the prophet. That's all I'm asking, bro. Just be fair to the scripture, bro. That's all I'm asking. No, you didn't. You stopped at verse 3. Verse 4 says, "And Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, she judged Israel at that time." Now I'm asking, can you show me where it says where she judged Israel because no other man was there to do it? That's all I'm asking. Respectfully. Okay. I'm just saying, let's tell the truth on the scroll. Let's not put our opinion on it like we're the prophet, bro. That's all I'm saying.
So what is a prophet? What is a prophet, Moore? What is a
prophet?
Nabiya.
You want me to read it out right quick?
I know that, but what is the job of a prophet? How do we know
it's right there.
From a bad prophet?
She talks to God for the people, and she gives them what God says for the nation in terms of judgment, in terms of what to do with war, in this whole situation, bro.
Would she have to be righteous and say exactly what the Lord said?
100%. It should be judged as a prophet, just like Miriam was judged. Just like Miriam was judged when she was a prophetess, etc. and whatnot. Just like Moses, Moses was judged when he was told to die, just like Aaron was told to when he was judged told to go up on a mountain and die, right? Any prophet's got to be righteous. The question is, show me where another man, right, where the scroll says, not your opinion, where the scroll says another man was not there to do the job, so Deborah did it. Because I made forth the point that when prophethood was put forth in the nation of Israel, it came to men and women at the outset. And Miriam was the oldest sister out of all three of them. You feel me?
Well, how many prophets were there, though? I mean, there was a lot of prophets, right?
So again, I'll give you a list of female prophets in the Bible.
It ain't. I mean, you could show the list, but we know that there was tons more than what's listed in this Bible, right? Because there's minor prophets that 100%. Probably weren't even.
And again, there's female prophets in the Old Testament and the New Testament. So my question is, was she demonic for being the prophetess?
No, he never made that statement, though. He never made that statement.
So I'm saying, cool. So cool.
So I'm just
he made the statement that a strong woman is demonic, right? And so you both made the statement that she was a prophetess because no other man was there to do it. So I asked you, can you show me where it says no other man was there to do it? And you didn't show me that nowhere.
So he only raised up prophets that were strong-minded and did what he said he would do.
Okay, but did he not raise up continually male and female prophets? Yes or no?
I mean, in the Bible, from what I read,
you can say I don't know if you don't know. I respect that, but I can tell you factually from the outset, there's a female prophet.
I'm trying to. Nobody's denying that, bro. What I'm saying is there was not a man out there who was more qualified to do the job than she was.
So I need you to show me that, brother.
Period. I just showed you. It says.
No, you didn't. You gave me your opinion. So I need you to show me the verse that says there was no other man qualified beyond Deborah. Show me that one. That's all I'm saying, bro.
Bro, what does this mean? And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord. Again, what does that mean?
What does this mean? And the children cried unto the Lord, and they sent them Deborah.
Right. So why would he send them Deborah and not another man? Why would he send them not another man?
Because she's a prophetess, brother.
He sent.
She's a Nabiya,
right?
brother.
It's a heart in a spirit that he's after, and he will put that in front of whoever, and it's not based on gender. It's based on who has the willingness to do his will and hear him. And it's not whether it's a male or female. And I think that's the point that Moore is trying to make. I understand what you're saying, brother. You're saying that he was the most qualified because of her.
He's going to raise up a person. He's not going to raise up some slum off the streets. You know what I'm saying? Well, he could. But he's not going to just pull any prophet from anywhere. He's going to go to the righteous person.
I think what Moore is trying to say is that capacity doesn't lie in malehood or the feminine.
100%.
See, that's what.
And as a matter of fact, I can
hear.
You know what? I'll go into Isaiah where the prophet goes into the prophetess. I'm saying there's a high priest and a high priestess of Israel. When you get into the deep details of it, and I can show you the scrolls where they come together and have a child if I want to, bro. Here's what I'm saying: the prophethood role and the prophetess role are established at the beginning, right? And they deal with Levites and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So it's not just raising up anybody in the scrolls, right? They got to be of a certain lineage and whatnot. So I'm saying, for this woman to be a prophetess and to judge the nation, she couldn't just be any Joe Schmo off the street, right? I'm saying there's an equal role even within prophethood in the scrolls, right? We can agree to disagree on that. That's a biblical debate we can have on this channel because it's debate talk for you, but not in this conversation, right? It's not a full debate. Well, all I'm saying here is if we can't show where it says that she was a prophet because there was no other man, it's not fair to put that on the scrolls like that, right? And that the whole point of that is that, okay, the whole reason why he was saying that and why you're bringing it up is because the brother would not capitulate to Reese, stipulating that we got a situation to where women are having to be stronger on their own, and they're run up to weak men who can't hold that vessel, right? And again, the whole point is the brother he refused to capitulate to her point just now. He's like, we should change the topic. Cool, let's move forward then.
Right, that's what I was saying. Like he alluded to that point.
Okay, brother. He just talked again, though. Brother, Vinny, brother. He just talked again, though, right? And when he talked again, and I brought it to him, he was like, I don't want to touch it. So don't speak for him. Don't put words in his mouth when he didn't want to defend it. No, but when he even said that, he said that she was raised up because there was no other man. He just said again, okay. So
right.
we're going around in circles, bro.
Even if you disagree with that point, so I know, but look, even if you disagree with the point that she had already been a prophetess and she wasn't raised up, he's saying that she was raised up because there was no other man. And Sister Reese was talking about, our women are being pushed into these
when I asked my man about her point, when I specifically asked my man just now about her point, he came on to speak about that joint. He did not say what you were just saying now, Vinny. So here's what I'm saying. You're putting nicer words in his mouth than what was coming out of his mouth.
Okay. You know what I'm saying, though, bro.
I hear what you're saying, and you're saying it on repeat, and I'm saying what I'm saying on repeat.
No, but you're missing my point, though.
I don't agree with your point. You can keep saying it, brother. I respect you all day. You can say the point over and over again. My opinion is the brother tuck tail and run. You can say whatever you want to. That's my opinion. It ain't changing no time soon, yeah?
Right.
It is a possibility that there was no righteous man. Barak was the righteous man. He didn't have the role that Deborah was given by the Most High, and so there were righteous men around. Just like there are.
But
righteous men
he wasn't a Levite, right? He couldn't be a prophetess, right? He could be the general, right? And so he as the man, he was like, okay, prophetess lady, the one we got to listen to in time of war. Where do we go? What do we do?
Prophetess
What's the move
for Levites?
Fam.
But yeah, we
got to do a show on this one. We got to do a separate show on that one. You know what I'm saying? We got to do a separate show on that one. But listen, we winding down right now, and I appreciate everybody that's listening. Everybody listening right now. Nobody pressing number one. Y'all can press number one if y'all want to chime in. But we're about to wind down and get some last words from everybody. Once again, it's the first show back for 2020. Debate Talk for You, as you can hear, is already, going on. So we're gonna continue this though. But let's get some last words from everybody. Let's go to Principal Sheik. Last words.
My last words is that we have to stop buying into what society tells us in their definitions of what works for the genders. In every individual relationship, it should be based off the strengths and the weaknesses of those individuals, and both should complement each other. We got to stop getting hung up in, her genitalia is this, so this is what she's supposed to be doing, especially in a world where women are not home keepers. They're actually out in the world, and so I can understand how people would wish, they have that or this or that. But when it comes to taking care of your family in the manner that we would want to, we can make sacrifices, and I'm not against that. But taking care of our families, usually it takes two. It takes two to take care of people. And if we're going to split that role and responsibility, then we have to be willing to split other roles and responsibilities as much. If we want men to be looked at as nurturers of children and be able to have full custody, then we have to acknowledge that men have the ability to nurture and care for children. And it may not be you. It may be another man. And no man should be feeling ashamed of that because they're a man. So we have to stop with this. It's about your spirit. It's about your heart. It's about what the Most High has qualified you to do and be and move from there. And so those are my last words. I yield.
I appreciate you. Of course, we're going to see you hopefully next week Monday, Social Hub. Let's go to Vinny D. Last words.
Yeah, peace, everybody. Just want to say I agree with Sister Sheikah. We got to stop letting people define, or give us definitions for certain words, or define, the way we do things. And I also believe that we have to get our own, judging our own community. And don't necessarily mean like getting up and then moving out somewhere extravagant, but that just means like just the people in our community, getting back to the village raises a child mentality again. Have to start grooming our men. We also have to start grooming our women in order to take on the roles that we've so we strayed from, because I think Western society causes a division, and we have to definitely get away from that thought. And thanks for everybody for sharing the panel, Brother Tavon, Sister Sheik, Sister Reese, Sister Jennifer, Sister Zaza out there, Brother Liza, who couldn't be here with us. Also, you, Sal, thanks a lot. And to all the listeners, you guys have a blessed night.
All right, whether that's more. Last words, man.
Yes, sir. So once again, I think there's a two-sided coin on this whole battle of the sexes. One, I feel like part of the battle comes from us having a culture, not having a common culture that we deal with, and another part of that is the concept of us trying to have our cake and eat it too, and not finding out who we're laying down with until we're done laying down with them and whatnot. So we're fighting after the fact on a lot of things. I feel like we'll come together a lot more when we'll stop the battling when we recognize some cultural concepts collectively and whatnot. But again, real quick, I want to extend an olive branch to my brother Michael. And I would love to have a conversation with you in terms of Deborah and this whole social commentary you had. Again, I didn't have an issue with your social commentary. I just would have loved to hear you say, as a strong man, you know what, Reese, you were right. That's all I would love to hear you say, bro. Shout out to everyone on the panel. Shout out to Reese. Shout out to Sheik. Shout out to Vinny. Shout out to Sal every time. And shout out to all the listeners, man. Peace and love.
Help keep the show on the air. If you want to help, you can send your donation through PayPal. The email is debatetalkforyou@gmail.com or through Cash App, $Sal Showtime. Thanks for your support.